Alright, what's going on, guys? This is the Boxing Genius here, and today we'll talk about the brawler or the boxer puncher side of Rigondeaux. I don't necessarily think that he is more of a brawler now because he still has a defensive responsibility. He still moves around, he still has the footwork, and he kind of mixes outboxing and being offensive now. He doesn't really brawl way too much like people say, you know what I'm saying? He's more of a boxer puncher. So today we'll break down some of that. And the one thing that I want to look at first is the left uppercut. So over here, you're going to see him set it up with the left hook with the rear hand, forcing his opponent to duck down. And then you can see over there that on the second punch, his opponent still thought that it's a rear hook. Okay, because they all look the same. It's going to start in this position, okay? It looks like a hook when in fact it's an uppercut. So that's really the deception that Rigondeaux uses. That's a form of deception that Rigondeaux uses in order to trap his opponent into ducking down. So over here, Seha will try to apply some pressure and he will come in low. Rigondeaux will time that by moving his back foot slightly back and then getting some load up on that left uppercut. So you can see his left foot, I should say, moving back right there as he throws the left uppercut. So here, slight movement of the back foot, and then he throws the uppercut and then he pivots away. Now let's look at this. The second one is going to be a left uppercut, but it is set up, or there's a pinning involved over here. So he's going to pin the head of his opponent, as you can see here, with the right hand. So when his opponent ducks down too low, in order to keep him there, he's going to pull the head down. He's going to pull the head down and then catch him with an uppercut while holding his head down, okay? Now over here, same thing will occur. He's going to be a left uppercut once again. He's going to pull the head down, right? He's going to pull the head down as he throws the left uppercut. So let's see this one for ourselves. Left uppercut. Or he's going to set it up with the right hook first. And then there's the left uppercut right there. I kind of set the timestamp a little bit too early. Okay, so there's the first uppercut, actually. Okay, it's gonna be a first uppercut with and then he pins it right there. He does it once again later on in this segment, in this section of the video. It's gonna be another one later on. He's gonna pin the head once again, pull it down, and then he's gonna throw an uppercut. Now this is not legal in the rules of boxing, but he does get away with it. And a lot of other fighters get away with it. That's why he keeps doing it, okay? Now, the second one I want to look at is that after he throws, he's going to tie up with his opponent, and then he's going to usually go for their head. And the reason why they go for their head is because usually the head follows, or wherever the head goes, the body follows, okay? So if you put the head down, the body will automatically be in a low position, and you can't really shoot up, okay? So as you can see here, he pulls the head down, and his opponent, Seha, finds it hard to land any shots on the head. Why? Because he's low, okay? And Rigondeaux puts him in a position where he can't really throw that. He can't really see the head way too much. So notice how Seha decides to go for the body. And notice how Rigondeaux just took those body shots like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Probably getting his ab workout, you know? So another instance where he ties up with his opponent is this. Okay, he's going to throw a 1-2, and then he's going to throw another 1-2. He's going to tie up again, pull the head down, and notice how Seha finds it hard to land headshots, okay? That's why he resorted to those body shots, which Rigondeaux just took like it's nothing, you know what I'm saying? He took those body shots like it's nothing. He's been probably doing a lot of ab workout to kind of do that, so he ties up here. Seha tries to throw those body shots. He's too low. Rigondeaux is controlling him the entire time. And then here's the last one. He's going to do that same move, okay? He's gonna tie up once again, pull his head down, and then there, because it's too noticeable already, it's too low already, the referee decides to break it up, but for the most part, he doesn't really do that, you know? Okay, so next one we'll see is head pinning now. So this is where Rigondeaux decides to pin the head in order to move away, or in order to control where his opponent is going. So like I said a while ago, wherever the head goes, the body follows. So if you can push your opponent's head sideways, that means that their body will remain sideways. They won't be able to pivot with you. And that's the exact thing that he did here. As Rigondeaux pivoted, he controlled the head of Seiya, and he prevented Seiya from pivoting with him. He prevented Seiya from establishing the lead foot dominance, which basically means that his left foot is going to be outside of Rigondeaux's right foot. Okay, and he uses that as a way to exit safely. Okay, the more you control the head, the less likely your opponent is to counter you on your way out. So over here, you're going to see that same move again. He's going to start with the paw, and then he's going to convert that, and then he's going to transfer his glove to the side, and he's going to control the head of Seiya by pushing it sidewards and then pivoting away. That disables Seiya from pivoting with him, that disables Seiya from catching him, and as you can see there, the only way for Seiya to really stop him from pivoting way too much to the side is tying up. So he ties up right there, he locks the right arm of Rigondeaux, and that's pretty much it, but he wasn't able to land any shots. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the lead hand control, which honestly is also present whenever he's whenever he's an outboxer. Damn it, I keep on stuttering. Whenever he's in his outboxer style, he also does it a lot. So lead hand control here. Basically his lead hand, a lot of people say he abandons it, but he's more of a measuring tool now, and he does a lot of things with it, like glove control primarily. So over here you're gonna see that, you're gonna see how he does it. He's gonna tap the glove a couple of times, and then he's gonna kind of parry it sideways. The left hand of his opponent is gonna kind of parry it sideways right there. And then that opened up the left side of the face, forced his opponent to come in closer, and then he was able to set up his rear hand and his left hand shot. So here's another one. He's gonna try to control the lead hand once again, and then he's gonna pivot away, okay, focusing on the lead hand. And usually he does the lead hand to control his opponent's lead hand, not necessarily to establish his offense. So notice there how he just keeps on pawing. He keeps on pawing as he moves, and then he never allows his opponent to really set up their offense with the lead hand. So he always takes control of that lead hand of his opponent, which is the left hand. Now next up is a pivot. So back then, he did have the pivots. He did have the pivots. But the thing is, he has a tendency to rely too much on his crouch. He relies way too much on his crouch, and he doesn't really take the time to pivot around. So now that he doesn't have the same, or now that he got beat by Lomachenko, he learned to stop bending at the waist way too much, and he learned to slip inside, okay? Or he learned to slip outside of the lead foot of his opponent. So over here, you're gonna see how he constantly gets out of the center line, he constantly pivots around his opponent, and he doesn't rely on his crouch anymore. He doesn't rely on bending at the waist anymore. So he's gonna duck down, he's gonna turn, he's gonna pivot to the right side, as opposed to back then where he just bends out the waist. He's gonna pivot again here, keeping his head off of the center, and then there, as he pulls back, he's gonna do that same move again. Look at the subtle movements of his feet. Okay, once he finds the right time, his right foot is gonna move outside of the lead foot of his opponent, and then there he goes again. He's gonna move, and watch how coordinated his feet is. Okay, every movement of the front foot is equivalent to a movement of the back foot, and he knows how to turn both ways. He knows how to turn rightwards and leftwards. So that's a great thing that Rigondeaux really got back into doing, because back then he got a little bit dependent on bending at the waist, and that's where his opponent caught him with right hands, with left uppercuts, with the right uppercuts. So that's a very dangerous move now that he doesn't do as much. So here's another scenario where he showcases this ability. Okay, so again, every movement of the front foot, as you can see here, is equivalent to a movement of the back foot, and that's why his coordination is so polished. And whenever he pivots around, he kind of has this ability to always stay off of the firing range, always stay out of the center, and to avoid all the upcoming shots of his opponent. Yes, he does get hit these days. Yes, he doesn't have the same untouchable skills that he had before, but he's become more conservative, and he knows how to kind of make his offense a threat, because back then nobody was really scared of his fucking punches, you know. Now let's talk about two-sided ducking. So like I said a while ago, before he was dependent on bending at the waist, now he knows how to duck straight down like a letter U. Okay, so back then he would just bend at the waist here. Now he knows how to duck down and then make it an angle like a letter U. Okay, so he knows how to duck to the right, he knows how to duck to the left, he knows how to bend at the waist, and he doesn't stay at that same place. He always ducks down, he always waits for his opponent. So it's a two-sided ducking. two-sided ducking. You don't just bend out the weights. Now the tendency of the bladed stance is that you don't really duck on two sides, you duck on one side, which is primarily your lead side. So if it's to the left, most likely you're gonna bend out the weights to the right. If it's southpaw, you're gonna bend out the weights to the left. But Rigondeaux has learned to unlearn that, and now he ducks in both ways, okay? And that disables his opponent from timing him as he bends out the weights, like what Lomachenko did. So now he has that two-sided ducking in his arsenal. Now let's talk about the bullying abilities of him. And basically the summary of this is that he pushes off the wherever your weight is, that's ideally where you want to push your opponent. So if your opponent's weight is on the back foot, you want to push them on their rear side. If your opponent's weight is on the front foot, you want to push them on their front side. So Rigondeaux has the ability to really read this, and he's able to bully his opponent based on where their weight is. And usually if it's southpaw versus orthodox, their weight is going to be more on the front foot. And so that's what Rigondeaux does, okay? He pushes off, look how he ducks down here, and then he looks for the lead shoulder of Ceja. And let me remind you guys, Ceja is a very big guy, much bigger than Rigondeaux. So over here he uses that weight distribution, or he uses the weight distribution of Ceja against him, and then he pushes him on the left shoulder, which is where Ceja's weight is at the moment. So he's on the front foot, therefore his weight is more on the left shoulder, and that's what Rigondeaux decided to exploit for this particular situation. So he ducks down, he looks for the left shoulder of Ceja, and then he pushes him on that side. And notice how hard it is for Ceja to stand still. So that was it for this video, the boxer puncher side of Rigondeaux. To tell you guys if this is going to work against Casimero or not is a big question. I'm not sure if I can answer that yet, but I'm pretty sure that he's going to incorporate some of these tactics in their fight. I still think that he's going to be more on the outboxer side rather than the boxer puncher side, but he's going to incorporate some of these for sure. And I think he's not going to be as gun shy. Hopefully he doesn't, you know, so we can have an exciting fight. I think there will be times where he will be offensive, like what he did against Donaire back then, but we never know until the fight happens. So that was it. Subscribe if you're new. Join me on Patreon if you want to. Subscribe to my music channel as well, TBG Music, and I'll see you guys soon, man. Peace.